Hello, I'm here with Rapunzel at her brand new beach house. She's on vacation here at my beach resort, and we'll be hanging out in this toy box for a few episodes because I've got several sports games that I've built. It's kind of like Wii Sports Resort in Disney Infinity. It's not a particularly big toy box, but it's packed full of games. So let me give you a quick little tour here. So down this way is the beach. And there's places to go and things to do. And you can see the waves rolling in. We'll go surfing in a future episode, like you saw Baloo in the preview trailer. And then over here we have the tennis courts. The basketball stadium is over this way. And then down here are some little shops and a little park. So again, it's not a particularly big toy box, but it's pretty fun to play in. And there's room in the memory for me to grow this and add more sports. So those of you that are on a PS4 or PS5 or an Xbox with good memory, you can probably put a lot of stuff in here and grow this bigger than what I've got. And I might come back and do this more. Do some more work on this later. But for today's episode, Rapunzel is going to the tennis courts to meet her friend Anna, and they're going to show us how to play tennis in the toy box. Now this plays almost like tennis in real life. You hit the ball back and forth over the net, and if the ball crosses over the white line and onto the sand on your side of the net, then your opponent gets a point. The first player to score 5 points wins, and you must win by 2 points. So if someone reaches 5 points, but the score is 5-4, then you keep playing until someone gets 2 points ahead. Once again, to help me demonstrate this game, I've got Mrs. Toybox to help me. So let me bring her in, along with Anna, and then we'll show you how it's played. Okay, I'm here with Mrs. Toybox. Say hello to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
And we'll step on the challenge maker and let's play some tennis. All right, here we go. And I've got a special camera set up for Mrs. Toybox to make it a little bit easier. Go ahead and move around just a little bit to show them what that does. So that keeps the camera behind him. I know she's having a little bit of trouble with the controls, and I know probably some smaller kids, some of you have small kids that might struggle with that too. So that can help a lot. I'll let you go ahead and serve, hun. So there's a button off to the side that puts the ball out there to serve. Rather than implement the logic to try to figure out who's responsible for serving, I figured I'd just do it manually. All right, here comes the ball. Let's go ahead and return it. And it's going pretty slow, but that's the nature of this.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh! Oh, no! Point for me. Woohoo! All right, my turn to serve. So you got plenty of time to react to the ball and get lined up, which is good because sometimes the ball doesn't necessarily go where you expect it to. So that gives you time to recover. And if you hit it twice on your side of the net, that's okay too. Whoa, that was a good hit. Look at the spin on that. Oh no!
Yeah, you did it too.
Yep, I did it too. All right, your turn to serve. We're all tied up. I think it'll get there. Yep. Oh, okay. A little bit slower pace than real tennis, but given the controls, that's not a bad thing. Oh, just barely caught the edge of that.
Oh,
Oh, wow. What a return.
What a turn.
Bad luck for you.
Yeah.
All right. Ah! Nope, out of bounds.
My turn.
Yep. Oh no! Get back here! Oh! I don't think I'm going to catch it this time. Maybe. Nope.
Tied up again.
Yep. Ah! Wrong way.
Woohoo!
Got a little too aggressive with that. Game point for you. It's always good to take your time and line up your shot. Oh no! No, 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 no!
Oh, that's at least worth a pat on the back.
I'd say so. All right. And there we are. That's tennis in the toy box. So now that we've played it, I'll show you how to build it. Okay, let me start by giving you a quick overview of how to build this toy box. I'm not going to do a step-by-step build for this because it's not all that difficult to build, but I will show you what I've got and the pieces that I used. So out here for the water, I've got 4 of these blocks in a grid shape, and they're styled to use the Toy Story in Space theme, which is the Alien Planet theme. And then over here we have the blocks that are half that size, which are these, and I've got 2 of them along with a smaller one over here. And for the water's edge, I'm using, let's see, I believe it is well, might be easier just to pick it up. That one. That's styled with the Alien Planet theme too. And this is styled using Lilo's Tropical Paradise from the 2.0 game Stitch's Tropical Rescue. And then we've got a bunch of these off the end of that. So you can see the terrain seam is right there. So off of the end of these, if I pick that up, this is the sloping hill from the terrain drawer. And underneath that, to plug the gap under the terrain, I'm using these. and those run the whole length of the beach. So that's pretty easy. And then over here we have another one of those long blocks like I'm using on the beach, with another one here. This is styled using the Briar Ridge theme. That's what I'm using for all of the grass. And then another block with the sand. And then we get to the tennis court, which I'll show you in a second, with another one of those wide blocks on this side, the tennis court, and another wide block over here. And then on top of that are these blocks like I'm using underneath here. But these are styled with Briar Ridge. All right. To build the tennis courts, what you do, and it might be easier to show it over here without all the Creativitoys in the way, but I'm using, let's see, if I pick that up, those manhole covers are going to be in the way. But basically you're going to use this one, followed by this one, followed by this one. And those are styled, by the way, using the Sights of San Francisco theme. And then these are these long, tiny, tall terrain blocks. Those go around the perimeter of this, with these on the corner. And those are all styled using the White World theme, which is the frosted white world that provides the outline for the tennis court. So that is really easy. And then we've got another one of those long blocks like is in the middle of the tennis court here, followed by a couple of skinny blocks on either end just to kind of fill out the space. And same down here, except you need one more row of blocks. And that's what that is. Okay, so there is that. For the tennis court, the net, we are using these pieces, the small vertical barrier piece out of the platforming toys. And I've styled these to use the Castle Ledge Hang theme. And that works pretty well. All right. Over here, this is the racetrack pieces, and this is covering up the terrain seam, so it goes right up. It sits on top of the sandy block right up to the edge. And these are styled using the Stitches Tropical Rescue theme. If I go ahead and select that, that's Lilo's Tropical Paradise again. And that runs all the way down here. It provides a nice little boundary around this. This block back here is using Toy Box terrain for the theme. Again, these are using Briar Ridge. And then I've got a bunch of plants around, and I'll show you those in a second, as well as these picket fences I'm using everywhere. These are out of the decorations drawer, as well as the cars and the street lamps. This is one of the set pieces from the set pieces drawer. And so is the lighthouse down here. And then the boats are from the Pirates of the Caribbean set out of Building Sets Group 3, I believe, or 4. Let's pick it up and find out. 4. Okay, so now let me just kind of show you where everything is here. And again, you don't have to get these exactly where I placed them. These again are the plants that are the first 9 pieces out of the plants drawer, the fantasy terrain pieces that you can customize. I've got the surfboards from the gameplay toys drawer. These pieces are from the Fantasyland pieces in Building Sets Group 4, as well as the roof pieces. This is out of Gameplay Toys, so is that. Ignore the challenge maker. We'll come to that another day. And you can just kind of see where I've put things. This is a beach ball out of the Instant Fun drawer. And again, the exact placement of the plants doesn't really matter. Alright, over here, you can kind of see how I have everything. All of these buildings are from the Building Sets Group 4. They're the modern homes, and I've customized these. If I go into Spark mode, you can see that the Customize menu is available in the lower right, and I've styled these with different colors so they kind of look a little bit tropical-ish. The flowers are from Building Sets Group 2 from the Disneyland pieces. These are from the plants drawer. Of course, these are the little pirate stepping stones, cobblestones. And again, just kind of see where the plants are here. Note the little purple flower orientation on these. If you're trying to recreate it exactly as I have it. This piece straddles the net. And then over here between the two courts we have some additional pieces. And there's two pieces here. And over here we got some fence, mainly to keep the ball from going too far in that direction. But it's a good decorative edge over there. And again, these are the building pieces from Building Sets Group 4, the modern houses. And I tried to give each one a different look. These are from Building Sets Group 2. I got a florist building, and then these other buildings are right here. You can see how those are laid out, as well as some little umbrella tables from Building Sets Group 3, and the flowers. Flowers over here as well. More fence pieces. And another plant back here. And then this is all open to leave room for the basketball game. Alright, and these pieces are all styled using Stitch's Tropical Rescue, the Hawaiian themes. So I will theme all. Are you sure? Yes. And there we go. So that is the build for this toy box, and it's pretty straightforward. And once again, if you don't get it, everything that I've got in the exact same place, that's fine. You can tweak this up and change it however you like. Alright, now that you've seen how to build the toy box, let's build the tennis game itself. And this is actually pretty easy to build, much easier than the bowling game from the previous episode. So the first thing you're going to need are the manhole covers here from the Gameplay Toys drawer. And if I pick this up, you'll see this is the Scream Energy Launcher. Alright, and you're going to put a row of these across here, lined up with the terrain seam there. And you can see how I've placed these. And I did purposely not place one here, because I wanted the possibility for the ball to go out of bounds there on the player's side of the net. And then likewise we have another row of these on this side of the net. And this is how the ball gets over the net for the most part. There are a couple other ways to get it over the net, but these are the main way. And it's very important that you put these on this line, lined up with this terrain seam right here on either side of the thing, because if you put them back a little further, the ball will actually land either directly on these or on this side of them. And so what you want is when the ball launches to land on this side of those pieces. And so it's really important that you don't put these too far away from the net, and you also got to not put them too close to the net or the ball won't make it over the net. It'll hit the net and bounce back. So that's important. I had to experiment a lot with the placement of those to get it just right. Alright, and then we have some Creativitoys, and let me go through and review those for you. So the first thing you'll notice is we have these trigger areas that I've sized around the perimeter of the court, and there's 3 on either side. The first one starts at the net and goes all the way back to the back of the white, and it's 1 block wide. This one goes across the whole back of the court, and then this one mirrors the one on the other side. Alright, and then we've got the same placement of these on the other side. Those are all going to determine when the ball goes out of bounds. And then on top of that we have a challenge maker. We've got a kill switch. We've got a logic gate, a scoreboard, a level starter, another logic gate. On either end we have a trigger. You can see this one's positioned the same place basically over here. Now this one's more lined up with the white, but either way. And then with some locators, we have one sitting right here facing that way. We have another one right behind it on this seam facing that way. And in the same relative position on this side we have locators. And again, this one's facing that direction, and that one's the one that's really important, not the one on the line as far as the orientation of it. And we've also got a couple of falling object generators right above each of those locators. Alright, so we'll start with the challenge maker. And if we come under the properties for this, all of the defaults here are pretty much exactly what we want. I don't believe I changed anything here. Nope. And you could change the challenge type if you want to start on foot, but that's not really necessary. But I'll go ahead and do that. And for the scoreboard, the properties on that, we're going to play to 5 points. Win by 2 is on, and we'll leave both of these on. And that's it for properties, and none of the other toys have properties. Okay, so let's begin with the triggers on either end. And as I mentioned in the playthrough, it was just a lot easier to set this up to manually put the ball out there depending on whose turn it is to serve, rather than to try to figure it out with logic. So keeping it simple is always the better way to go. So on the trigger, we're going to do a new logic connection when stepped on, and we can do it by player any. Doesn't really matter who steps on this. We're going to come up to the falling object generator and generate the tennis ball. And on the falling object generator, we're going to do a new locator connection and connect that up to this locator right below it. And you'll make that same change, or that same connection over here from this trigger to that falling object generator, and from the falling object generator to the locator directly below it. And that takes care of serving. All right. On the trigger areas. When the ball goes out of bounds, there's a couple of things we need to do for each trigger area. We want to increment the score for the player that gets the score, and we also want to remove the ball. And so each of these is going to do two things, and all three of the trigger areas on this side of the court are going to do the exact same thing. All three of these on this side of the court are going to do the exact same thing. And so to simplify the logic a little bit, we have these logic gates. And so player 1 is going to start over here. Let's just go ahead and set that up right now. On the challenge maker, we'll do a new locator connection. We're going to put player 1 right here. That'll be player 1's start location. Player 2 will be on the other end. Back over here. And again, make sure you connect to the right locator. This is where the ball goes. This is where the player goes. So player 1 starts here, which means that when they hit the ball over the net, if this player is unable to return it, or they hit it out of bounds on their side of the net, player 1 gets the point. So all three of these need to increment player 1's score. And again, since they're all doing the same thing, we're going to send them through that logic gate. So we're going to do a new logic connection. When entered by physics ball, we'll come over to the logic gate and input. You'll make that same exact connection for the other two trigger areas. And then on the logic gate, this is the one that will do the two things. So we'll do a new logic connection on output from the gate. We'll come over to the scoreboard, and we're going to increment by 1 the score for player 1. And on this logic gate, a new logic connection on output. We need to remove the ball, and for that I'm going to use the kill switch. And we're just going to have it defeat. And so the triggering actor is going to be the ball when it rolls into here, which will go through the logic gate, and so that's what the kill switch will defeat. Now I could have run a signal from here up to each of the falling object generators to remove all, because I have to do both because I don't know which one the ball would have necessarily come from. But that's two logic connections, and the kill switch means I just have to make one. So I just kind of like that better. It's a little simpler. Now these over here are going to work for player 2. So player 2 starts over here. When the ball goes out of bounds on this side, player 2 gets the point. So once again, all three trigger areas, you're going to do this connection. You're going to do a new logic connection when entered by physics ball. And you're going to come over to this logic gate here and input. You'll make that same connection for all three of the trigger areas on this side. And then on this logic gate, new logic connection on output. Come to the scoreboard and increment by 1 the score for player 2. And the other thing this logic gate will do is a new logic connection on output. Go to the kill switch and defeat. So that takes care of the ball going out of bounds on either side. So we've got the serving of the ball, we've got the scoring of the ball. Okay? And when the ball goes out of bounds and the player gets a point, as you saw in our playthrough, then whoever's turn it is to serve will then go over to their trigger and get the ball. Step on the trigger to get the ball to serve. All right. And then to tie it all together, let's go ahead and build the rest of the logic. So on the challenge maker, we're going to do a new logic connection on invites accepted. Let's set up the scoreboard first. So we're going to reset the scoreboard. On the challenge maker, a new logic connection on started. We will activate the scoreboard. On the challenge maker, a new logic connection on game ended. we'll remove the display. And if you've watched the other videos in this series, you know what's coming next. When results are closed, go to the scoreboard and deactivate it. We also need to link for score results so we can display them at the end. And then on the scoreboard, we do a new logic connection. When the target score is reached, we come back to the challenge maker and complete the game. So that's the game logic right there. And that is pretty much it for that. Now just a little bit of extra bookkeeping. You'll notice I connected this up directly on either side to the falling object generator. So you can come in here and get balls and just play without playing an actual game. So if you just want to practice or bat the thing around for fun, this will let you do that. When you do that, though, these trigger areas are going to be active, and so it's going to attempt to try to increment the score, and it's going to do some kind of weird things. And maybe you want to leave it that way. I kind of like it a little bit cleaner if we're not doing anything with the game controls here, if players are just kind of goofing around. And so what I want to do is close these gates when they're not in use. That's why we have the level starter here. So on the level starter, we're going to do a new logic connection on catalyze. We're going to close this gate. And we're going to do the same with the other gate, so that we don't get any weird, unexpected behavior going on. I don't want to restrict the players from just playing freestyle, but we got to make sure no weird stuff happens. And so what that means is when the game starts, we need to open those gates, and when the game ends, we need to close them again. So on the challenge maker, a new logic connection on invites accepted. We'll open up each gate. And a new logic connection on invites accepted will open up that gate. And then new logic connection on game ended. Close the game, or close the gate. New logic connection on game ended. Close that gate. The other thing I'd like to do, just to make sure things are cleaned up, is make sure all of the balls are taken back out. So on new logic connection, we'll do game ended. And this shouldn't be needed, but it's just good practice, just to make sure we remove all the balls that generated. New logic connection on game ended. Come over and remove all of the balls that generated, just in case the ball gets placed in a weird spot or somehow goes over top of the trigger areas or something, who knows what. So that takes care of that. And I think that is everything. I'm just double checking all of my notes here. Yes, that is everything. Now, one last thing. This isn't part of the game, but as you saw in the playthrough, I set up a special camera for Mrs. Toybox so that the camera stayed behind her. She hasn't played Disney Infinity in quite some time, and so she's been helping me with these videos, but she's really been struggling a bit with the camera and getting familiar with the controls again. And I got to thinking that I could set up a camera here that would always be on behind her and track her movements. And if you saw, the camera stayed right there, which made it easy for her to see the whole court at all times, and she didn't have to worry about controlling the camera. That made it very easy for her. And I got to thinking that could be really useful for small kids too. And so I'm going to show you how to set that up. I'm only setting up one over here on this side, but if you wanted to have one for both players, you could set up another camera on the other side. The camera is positioned. Let me go grab a block to show you exactly where to put this. Because if you put it too close, then the camera does some weird things. If you put it too far away, it gets too far away from the player. But starting back here on the line, you'll notice the locator is right there on the left side of that block. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half. Okay, so 4.5 blocks back from that locator is where this camera is positioned. So if you wanted one on the other side, you'd put it in the same place. And the properties on this, you would set this, everything is here. This is player 2 on this end, so you're going to set the player viewport to be player 2. If you're going to set one up for the other player, that'll be player 1 on the other camera. Glow through is off. The camera target is going to be player 2 here. And again, if you're going to set one up for player 1, you'd set it on the other camera to player 1. And the rest of these are fine as they are. Okay? And the player is going to appear right here because this is the starting location for player 2. And we don't want to do it immediately on invites accepted because it does that little camera swing before it does the 3, 2, 1 go. And so on the challenge maker, you'll do a new logic connection on started. Come over to the camera and activate the camera. And then once the game is over, you need to turn that off. So on game ended, come over here and deactivate the camera. I wouldn't rely on the player remembering to press the minus key to get out of that. And that's how you would set that up. It's pretty easy. And again, I think that would be really useful for people who struggle with the controls, or small kids perhaps, or whatever. That just makes it really easy to play, because then you just have to worry about moving back and forth and pressing the attack button to hit the ball. You don't have to worry about camera controls or anything else. But that's my version of 2-player tennis in the toy box. Next time, I'm going to show you how to build a single-player version of tennis, and that's why we have the second tennis court over here. Until then, let me know what you think of my tennis game in the comments, and if you want to build this game in your own toy box, you can find logic diagrams on my blog that will help you out. The link is in the video description. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel before you go if you haven't already done that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.